research is unimpressive, it lacks those SIG trademarks, and if I have to look really closely to come up with more quote-unquote flaws, the half-travel bolt isn't realistic. Full travel matters to some people, I guess. And there's a tiny gap in the receiver, which has been one of the main complaints by nitpickers. That about does it for
Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. So that was a quick homage or shout out to Gbbr, one of my favorite YouTubers out here, and actually one of the YouTubers who actually got me inspired to try getting the SIG 553 right here. It's funny because probably some of you guys might know we've tried to expand our YouTube channel kind of as a hobby into Europe, and it's funny because I was kind of joking with my friends, and I was like, hey man, I would love to have some investors, and I was totally joking at the time, but he thought I was being serious, and so he really believes in the channel. He thinks that like we can become like the next Mr. Beast or something like that. So he wanted to invest in this company, quote unquote company. And so, yeah, he gave us some funds, and I had enough to pull the trigger and get the, no pun intended, I guess, and get the SIG, because I kind of really wanted this since I've played CS when I was a kid, and I really enjoyed this. And of course I had enough left to buy a rubber hammer afterwards, so I don't have to use the metal bolt anymore to hammer stuff. And it's funny though, because I felt really bad taking the money as an investment, because this channel that we launched in Europe is pretty much failing miserably. When we got this SIG by GHK, we kind of do a lot of the test runs in Europe, and doesn't look good. It was pretty much a dud. So we'll see if it fares better in the North American market. Now, first off, in terms of the FPS, I did get two magazines by accident, one CO2. I didn't really look carefully, but the first one was CO2. The one with the blue tape is green gas. And I can tell you with the CO2, oh man, this thing kicks pretty hard. With the manual says you're supposed to use 0.25 grams with this. So that's what I've been using the whole time. And with the CO2, a fresh cartridge during room temperature, you're getting around like 450 FPS roughly from the get-go, and then it starts going for that, like the first the first 10 shots maybe, and then the magazine starts losing its pressure, and by the end of the 30 rounds, you're probably sitting at around 340 around there. About 430 around there towards your last one. And you can get about, not a whole lot, you only get about like 35 solid shots with a CO2 cartridge, and then the rest is kind of gone. It's not really worth it anymore. You should probably replace it each time. On the other hand, oh, by the way, for those of you who are wondering, that's about, I'll post the numbers on top to see what you guys can tell in terms of the joules and stuff like that. But if you were to use the green gas one, the green gas one has an FPS of around 300 to 400. Sorry, 400, around 390, around 400 with the 0.25s, which is a little bit less, than the CO2, obviously. But the nice thing about that is it stays consistent, and you get about almost 3 magazines, so around 90 shots with that combination. And the nice thing about that is, of course, provided that it has enough time to warm up again, you'll continue shooting at that FPS. If you don't have a massive cooldown, or if you do have it, you give it some time to recover. On the other hand, the CO2, it'll go down, and it'll continue to go down as it loses pressure. And it's unfortunate because my CO2 cartridge, after about, let's see how many are there, I put through about maybe 10 cartridges so far, so 10 mags, and it's already leaking. The top part is leaking already, which is something that I've noticed happens in general, or it's a tendency with the CO2 magazines, my WE, my magazines for WE, my magazines for my SRC MP5. So it's really a problem, but hopefully I'll be able to figure out how to fix it one day. as far as the recoil, as you saw in that last clip, it is amazing. It's just so smooth. It's so crisp. It's hard to describe, but it's just, I've never had a GHK before, and I've seen a lot of people say that, you know, they've gotten bad quality control. So I was kind of risking it when I got that, but man, does it look awesome. Or feels awesome when you shoot it. And so it's like, whereas like the WE, for example, or not the WE, but the Viper Tech, it's a little bit like kind of grindy, I guess. Maybe even when you clean it, it's a little bit more grindy like that. But this one, whew, it's like a very crisp, very sharp on that one. So very cool. Sights, of course, the default ones, I don't think they're as good as the M4 system, of course, but these aren't, I don't think these were meant to be full-on sights. They were meant to be backups, right? That's why you got the rail here, and so depending on the you're supposed to have an optic, and depending on the optic you place on it, I like how it's like integrated, so it's a low profile, so it's a spare thing and doesn't interfere with your sights. But obviously, it's you're gonna have to remove the sights if you want to use the backup irons, I guess. In this case, I can't because as you can see, the rear sight kind of overlaps with the bottom of the optic, so not so much. But again, pretty cool. I like this formation. Color-wise, I think. I actually am a huge fan of the Cerakote gray, SIG gray here. Kind of comparable to a little bit lighter than the gray found on the Angry Gun receiver for the Colt 723 or 727 right here. This is actually, I like this color a lot actually, but it's hard to really say which one's better. I mean, I like gray. I don't. That's my favorite color. And if you were to compare it to one of my videos where I've used that Alumahide for this is the WE version right here. As you can see, the color a little bit darker than this one, but lighter than this one. So pretty cool. Very compact, of course. If you take a look, close the when you're folded. Look at that. Check out that comparison of a full length, well, a 14.5 inch carbine right here. Compare that with something like this. Take a look. So very, very nice. Obviously, lacks in the department of being able to have adjustments, right? Because it's either closed or open. But even when it's open, as you can see, pretty much about the same right there. So not bad. Now, I really want to point again that they GHK did a really good job on the externals as well in replicating every single detail. The front sight post, probably not the right term, but the front sights, the rear sights for backup sights, really, really nice. The bolt stop or the bolt release, awesome stuff right there. I know the magazines, that's not a big thing. The clips right there to attach them together, that's not an American thing. It's pretty big in Europe, but we kind of think it's too bulky here. But you know, I personally think it's not bad in terms of like sort of its physical strength and when it's attached to each other. But yeah, it's kind of cool to see the difference in cultures between different countries. But on the subject of magazines, like again, these are no longer translucent, as you can tell. This is a different version where they're more like solid plastic, whereas the one that I think the Bada Bing had was a more translucent variant, which honestly, I think I prefer the solid black one better. It doesn't have the GHK logo on the side. It still has the number counters on the side though, so pretty good. I'm more used to using the M4 / the M16 series magazine change, so I'm still trying to get used to this. It's a little awkward for me, and the magazines are a little bit stiff. Obviously, it's only had a few uses, it's still brand new, so hopefully I'll get better at it, and the magazine will be more easy inserts in the future. Now, on the subject of the different firing modes, of course, it's a Gbbr, so it has semi-auto and the the other one that we don't want to say. But what I found out though, it's interesting, is that I was kind of caught by surprise because the number 3 on this one here, which is supposed to indicate 3 times and not all of them very fast, is only a 2 function. So it's either all really fast, or single. So those are the only options. They removed that feature, so you won't have to worry about burst anymore. And so that's something to take in mind. Of course, this is FYI, in case anyone wants to know, you can just switch that little thing to the side so that it becomes a semi-only mode, so that when you turn the switch, if you're under stress or something like that, you only leave on semi and not pull past that mark and go more rapid. But kind of cool to see that. I do want to mention next though that the flash hider, if you notice the very first photo, it was kind of more like the A2 birdcage. That's because they sent me the wrong one for some reason. I had to email them, hey, can you send me the right one, which is like the 3-prong version, in which they did, but they did it for free, but they made me order a bunch of stuff, or order more stuff in order for them to include it with me. So all right, fine, whatever. I was a little pissed, but that's fine, I'll pay it. And so I bought some hop-up chamber for this model, because I heard that it's possible, if you have a BB that's stuck in there, it could totally destroy your hop-up chamber. So I just bought one. Haven't need to use it, obviously, but hopefully I don't have to, but we'll see. The next thing we're talking about is a little bit more of a negative thing, and I don't know if it's my model or not, but the loading nozzle in the inside is the part that's inside the bolt, like the plastic loading nozzle, is very stiff. So what that means is that, like, and I'll show you how stiff it is. Like you can't, normally you can slide these like nozzles in and out very smoothly, like on a WE or on like a VFC or whatever. It's very easy to pull in and out. But on this one, not so much. You literally need like a screwdriver if you want to try to like pry it out, if you need to repair anything. But anyway, so what that happens is that even though it's oiled and everything like that, sometimes when you retract the bolt like this in this photo, you'll see the nozzle still hanging out. Now that doesn't look anything bad or anything like that, but if you compare it to how it should look like, which is like in this photo right here, which is a little bit more retracted, that's the real position. So what happens though is that when the nozzle is not fully retracted, and say you're out and you're putting in a new magazine, and you release the charging handle to send the bolt home, because that nozzle is so close to the BB, you're not getting that much momentum, and so you'll have problems where it doesn't fully seat the or fully close. The bolt doesn't close completely. So so that's why you have to really rack the bolt to close it. Now I don't know if that's going to function of time and will get less stiff, but man, it's a little stiff. And I'll show you an example of what happens when you have this problem in terms of like closing it. Shots, you're probably shooting around like 340-ish FPS. But after that, so for your first 30 rounds, good. But after that, it hits, once it starts going below 340, you're gonna having some issues with the cycling of the bolt for here. So in this case, there's still some gas left. I've already shot my 30 rounds in here. I put in another like 5 or something now, and it's not enough to cycle the bolt and close it and put it in battery. So just like kind of like they say they recommend for an MP5, you're supposed to do that HK slap, but you need that momentum to strip the round off the magazine to load it. So in this case, without enough momentum to fully cycle it, you're not going to be able to load it. So in this case, you have to manually pull it back, make sure there's nothing in the chamber already. Let it go, and watch. I'll see if I can demonstrate on camera here if it really would. So it's pretty weak now. Again, there's your round right there. Same thing, I have to pull all the way back, charge it. Yeah, so at that point, I'm just doing this now for demonstration purposes, but you kind of get it now. as far as accuracy goes, I haven't really had a chance to really nail down a good one. I'm gonna have to do it in a little bit, but so far it seems okay for its size. I don't think it's a Marui in terms of accuracy, but don't take this test too seriously, because this one has a bunch of shrubs blocking the way, and I'm using an optic that is kind of not really super good. That's kind of like not tightly attached. So we'll have to do another video another time, but probably okay. Now, after the nozzle, or it's not the nozzle, so after the flash hider debacle, I got that replaced. No big deal. I ran into my first hiccup with this. Sorry, actually my second hiccup, because the CO2 start leaking for the one of the magazines. That I haven't been able to resolve yet. But the third hiccup I ran into was, of course, all of a sudden it stopped cycling, and it turns out that the rubber O-ring inside the nozzle, behind the nozzle, was shredded, just like in this photo right here. So man, that was after only about I would think it was about 300 rounds in. Now, to be fair, I did use CO2. I alternated between the CO2 mags and the green gas mag. And like I said earlier, you're getting about 450 FPS with the CO2 magazine. 450. But again, that's only for the first 10 to 15 shots. After that, it starts declining, and you're finishing off that 30 round mag with around 340 FPS. And then that's gone, and so you're only getting a couple high velocity rounds in there, whereas the green gas is more consistently in that 400 range, depending on how you're using it, or how fast you're shooting it actually. But in any case, so after about 10 of those magazines of CO2, which is basically 100 rounds at that FPS, that higher FPS of 450, it really, maybe that's what happened, and this what was shredded. I don't think that's the cause of it. I really just think that that's just maybe just bad design, or maybe, I don't know, maybe it was just stiff on the inside or something like that. But in any case, I try to measure out the dimensions, and at first, the original one here was about like 20 millimeters, roughly 1920. But then, so I bought and then I bought a spare one from, I think it was not Monsoon, Moon. I forgot what that place. It was a really good Simoon. Yeah, I think it was Simoon, and they were really good. And so they came, and when I measured a brand new one, it was like around 20. So roughly that's kind of the size you get roughly. And then that's like the gray one, and then the second one attached to it is about 18 millimeters. Again, that's a brand new Simoon one right there. What was funny though was because when I found an online store that sold O-rings in the United States, and I bought it from them, and they're actually pretty good. And for some reason, I accidentally didn't accidentally, but at the time I had measured it kind of differently, and I bought the wrong one by mistake, which is often the case. And I bought one that was about 2.5 or 2.4 millimeters by 15.8. It worked. So in fact, it was slightly smaller, and it's still very stiff fit, and it won't move like I demonstrated before, but it works. And so I was able to resolve it. So in case you're wondering, again, I'm not, I like the business. I hope these companies get the business, but it should be in the form that you're buying their airsoft products or replicas, and not, but you're paying like, $6 to buy an O-ring. All right, so that's so I'm doing this to encourage other people to, hey, look, you can easily replace the O-ring and not have to you have your replica fail on just one small critical piece. You can always get them. So please, I hope this encourages other people to buy the GHK model. Actually, no way hope to cause less business to them actually. So anyway, I replaced that, and so far it's been holding out okay. So a couple hiccups here and there, but I have high hopes for this. So hang in there, GHK. Don't let me down. All right. Is what I'm hoping for. I've already lost a huge amount of investment from my quote-unquote investor with this GHK model, so hopefully at least it's still a functional piece. I'm still waiting for that hop-up chamber to crack, as they say should happen, but maybe people on the internet could be wrong. So that's, if you want to see the details of that replacement video, I don't want to post that on the the North American channel, since that might cause demonetization issues. So check out our European channel where it's not really monetized. So we kind of just, that's like our B site where we test products and kind of show the whole deal. So yeah, I think that's it for now. We'll do more. I know this is probably not the best review. Overall, totally like it. I mean, a couple hiccups, like I said, here and there, but I'm really liking it. It's really crisp. The recoil is great on this. Gas efficiency on that magazine is incredible. Again, I'm just not used to the system, so I'm not used to changing the magazines or whatever. But so far, really nice. I think I'm out of CO2 days for now until at least I can fix that. Out exterior, awesome, just awesome quality material here. I don't care if it doesn't have any like not SIGs, but what's that called, like markings on it. You can always just paint it on there like the real one. Shouldn't be too bad. But yeah, solid stock. I know people complained that it was broken before, but this one seems pretty solid. Fingers touch on wood, or knock on wood right there. And we'll get more about the accuracy and reliability later on. And so that's it. So thanks guys for watching. There'll be more videos on this. See you next time.